Hey everyone, this is Joe again. I hope you enjoyed my intro video. This is going to be a little bit of a longer intro video in terms of kind of my background, where I'm from, what helped me decide to go the career path that I'm currently on right now, which is medicine, ultimately ophthalmology. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm originally from Medina, Ohio, grew up there, and which is kind of a small town in northeast Ohio, by Akron, by Cleveland, kind of that general area. Went to high school in Parma, Ohio at Padua Franciscan High School, went to college at John Carroll University in Cleveland, Ohio, and then came to Columbus for medical school at the Ohio State University College of Medicine, and which is pretty pumped about. I'm a huge Buckeyes fan, so that was really exciting. So my route to medicine essentially kind of started similarly to other people, but I initially wanted to be a vet. And really liked animals, still do. I wish I had a pet right now. I don't, but I'm trying to be responsible. But probably within the next year, maybe I'll get a dog. I love dogs. But anyways, I digress. So loved dogs, loved cats too. Loved anything really, any furry little creature like guinea pigs, bunnies, whatever. And really wanted to learn how to help them out when they're sick and kind of fix them. And love learning about kind of the physiology of how living beings work. And as I kind of continued throughout my life, I realized I really liked talking to people. I really like socializing. I really like learning about people's backgrounds. And I also really liked learning how to help people and learning how to fix people when they're sick or when they're injured, or it kind of made me feel a little defeated when people were sick and I had no idea what to do with them. I would try to be there for them as like a moral support, but I kind of wanted to know a little bit more on, what can I do to actually make this person feel better and make this person, back to their old self, essentially. So that was kind of my initial interest into going into medicine. And as I went through school, I realized I really liked science, I really liked physiology, I really liked anatomy, I really enjoyed learning about that stuff. So it's kind of a natural fit, ultimately. I was like, oh, okay, medicine seems like a good route for me to go. It doesn't hurt that my dad was a doctor too. A lot of people, though, they're like, oh, your dad's a doctor, that's why you went into medicine. It's funny because ultimately he was probably a detractor in terms of me going into medicine, because I saw how long he worked all the time. He worked multiple days, 12-hour days, 6 to 7 days a week, always kind of at work, and he loved his job, and he still does. He still works crazy hours too, which is good for him. But that was something to me that I was like, ooh, it's a real life commitment right there. But ultimately, my interests and my desires outweighed that, and I decided to go into medicine. And essentially applied during undergrad, took the MCAT and all of that, and went into the application process, hoping to get in somewhere. Not only did I get in somewhere, but I got into essentially my dream school, Ohio State, and always wanted to be a Buckeye, so I was really, really pumped about that. Plus, I got to live in Columbus for 4 years, going on my 5th year now. And Columbus, if you ever get a chance, if you've never visited before, you should check it out. It's a really cool city. It's got a lot of I don't know how to describe it. It's like a big city with a small town feel at the same time. It's a very college city, but also really nice like young adult city. It's the food here is great. Coming from Cleveland, though, the food in Ohio is pretty great in general. But Cleveland and Columbus have awesome food options. Very diverse population. It's pretty cool. So came to Ohio State for 4 years of medical school, which were probably 4 of my toughest years. We'll see how these next few years of residency go, how they compare. But, medical school is no joke. People, probably even myself too, expected it to be hard, but you never really know until you're in it. And I don't know if I wish those 4 years on anyone. But I made it through. I'm here. I'm still here today, so that's great. And maybe one of these videos that I make later can kind of delve into that little bit of what to expect if you're going into medical school or you want to go to medical school, or like a support video too for those of you that are in medical school, because it's pretty grueling, and we're all with you. We all have your back, and some people need that little extra support. But anyways, so went through medical school, very excited, kind of wanted to do everything. I loved learning about everything. I loved learning about the brain. I loved learning about the heart. I loved learning about the lungs. I loved learning about the liver. I loved learning about everything. So I initially was like, well, probably going to internal medicine, because a lot of people say if you're not really sure about a specific field that you want to go into, if you love them all, essentially, internal medicine is the field for you because it covers everything. And or family medicine too. A lot of people like family medicine for the similar reason. And so I was pretty set on going to internal medicine. Really kind of seemed to like cardiology a lot more than other specific organ systems. So was planning on doing internal medicine, maybe specializing in cardiology. As I did my rotations, though, I actually started on OBGYN and surgery. And surprisingly loved OBGYN. It was, I think, it was just such an interesting field because you're the primary doctor, you take care of a lot of medicine, you do a lot of medicine, but also you do a lot of surgery at the same time too. And I didn't really expect to like surgery, but I love doing the surgeries in OBGYN. And then I did my rotations in orthopedics and general surgery and just fell in love with it even more. So then I came to the realization, well, if I do internal medicine, I won't have any surgery. And I really love surgery. So kind of was a little bit torn, talking to my advisors, trying to figure out, well, what kind of fields maybe have a little bit of surgery with a little bit of medicine, kind of a combination. And my advisor was like, you're going to be an OBGYN. And I was like, I enjoyed it, but the field itself was not ultimately the most exciting of a field for me. I think I just enjoyed the surgical aspect and the medicine combined, but not specifically OBGYN. Very glad that other people love it because it's a great field, but just not for me. And so I was kind of looking into other fields, and ophthalmology came up. And we actually at Ohio State have some great ophthalmologists and great mentors there. So I talked to one of them and I asked them if I could kind of rotate with them a little bit, shadow them, kind of see what the life of an ophthalmologist is like. And he agreed, and I immediately fell in love with it. There's something about ophthalmology where it's basically like the eye is kind of a microcosm of the human body, and you're essentially you can see diseases in the eye, you can treat diseases essentially by looking at the eye and by treating the underlying cause of those eye diseases. You're kind of treating systemically. There's surgery involved in ophthalmology, which is something I love, and it's just a fascinating field. I like the physical exam as well, but I think some fields of medicine, like the physical exam, is not as It's not as rewarding to me as others. And ophthalmology, it's all about the physical exam. You're actually looking at the eye, and it combines the medicine, it combines the surgery, it combines pathology. It also combines kind of the social aspect that I really like in medicine too. When you're examining people's eyes, you're sitting down face to face, talking with them. You can kind of chat with them about their eye history, but other things too that's going on with them. You can kind of be a little bit of a support system there for them as well in the office. So, plus the outpatient setting in general, I just love. So it's a good mix of outpatient clinic setting as well as OR time. So there's a lot to love about it. And as I continued through my rotations, I just continued loving it, really excited to go in. That was like my favorite rotation is ophthalmology. Every day I was really excited to go in, learn something new about it. And it didn't hurt to have some good mentors at Ohio State. So that was kind of what drew me to it. Ophthalmology, however, is a really competitive field to get into in medicine. And that was the one thing I was kind of, it's frustrating when you go into medicine, because one of the big misnomers they tell you is that once you get into medical school, it's all downhill from there. Everything's smooth sailing from then on. It's not true at all. Once you get into medical school, it's just beginning. So ophthalmology is a super competitive field, so you have to get the scores in order to get into it. And my scores were competitive. They weren't definitely, they weren't guarantees for me to get into whatever I wanted, but they were competitive. And so I kind of applied to ophthalmology with my fingers crossed, hoping that things would work out. And luckily they did. The ophthalmology process itself, you essentially apply to ophthalmology residencies, and you also apply to first-year residencies. So first-year residencies can be in general medicine or general surgery. And that's why currently I'm in Columbus for one more year and then going to Akron next year for my ophthalmology residency, is because I matched at Summa Health in Akron for ophthalmology. But then I matched for my one transitional year, they call it, or preliminary year, at Riverside Methodist Hospital, where I'm doing internal medicine for a year. So, long story short, doing 1 year of internal medicine, essentially, and then 3 years of ophthalmology, general ophthalmology, and at the end of that, if I pass all my boards and do everything accordingly, I will be an ophthalmologist, and then I can spend another year or two doing more specialization in ophthalmology, depending on if I want to do that or not. Which, definitely open to the idea. So I like general ophthalmology, but I also like various specialties that you can get with ophthalmology as well. So kind of tell myself, I'm glad I made this decision. I'm going to kind of give myself some time to figure it out as the years go on. So, that very excited to be where I'm at today. If I were to tell myself, 4 years ago or so, like, hey, you're going to be an ophthalmologist, probably wouldn't have believed it back then, because that was one of the farthest things from my mind. But, things work out the way that they're supposed to, I guess. So I'm very, very pleased for that. So that's a little bit about me and kind of my path to where I'm at currently. And so I hope to keep making more videos, probably some more videos on med school in general, how residency is going. I'm currently in my third month, I think. Third month of my first year of residency, and so far so good. So probably keep you updated on that, and then we'll go from there. Alrighty, well, I hope you enjoy, and if you do, feel free to subscribe, and if you have any suggestions or anything, leave them in the comments box, and some topics that you'd like me to discuss, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, good seeing you. Thanks.